All right, folks. So pull up AutoCAD and open a new file using that acad.dwt template.
Is it DWT because it's a template?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
And I'm pretty sure the G in DWG stands for graphics, but I don't know. I think. Seems like the most logical
I'll take your word for it.
one. So there's another little drawing aid that I need you to turn off that I forgot to tell you to turn off last week. So you see this little one down here that has the little plus sign and the thing next to it. It says dynamic input. Turn that off for now. We'll turn it back on probably next week, but it's going to get in your way today if it's on. Most of your work won't make sense if you have that on. Okay, so everybody comfortable with selecting and panning and zooming and all that kind of stuff? All right. So remember, zoom is, you can type zoom and then select over a window and it'll zoom to that spot. Extents takes you out to whatever you've drawn, which I have nothing right now. You can also scroll with your scroll wheel to zoom. And then if you have a mouse and you can do that middle button, you can use that to pan around the drawing. Yeah. Those are the main things. And then just remember when you're selecting, if you drag to the right, you get the blue box, and the blue box means it will only select things that are completely contained inside that box. If you go to the left, you get the green box. That means any object that has any part of it inside of that box will be selected. All right? And you'll find yourself using both of those pretty regularly to select things. So today we're going to start drawing, okay? I'm going to teach you three new commands, okay? So remember, this is an XY coordinate system. So your first command I'm going to show you is line. So just type the word line, L-I-N-E, and hit enter. Okay, and the command prompt says specify first point. Well, what kind of line do we want to draw?
Vertical line.
A vertical line? Okay. How tall should this vertical line be?
6.5 feet.
Okay. So our first line, our first point, let's start at 0, 0. So just type 0, 0, enter. That'll be where, and notice how I now have the beginning of a line, and the other end of the line is shooting off to where my cursor is. Okay? And AutoCAD is asking us specify the next point. So the next point, if we want to draw a vertical line that is 6.5 units tall, we would do 0, 6.5. See that? And now it's asking us for another point.
Make a square.
Sure, we could, right? So let's make a square. So our next point would be 6.5, 6.5. Right? And now if we could do our next vertical line, which would be 6.5, 0, yeah. And then our last point would be back to 0, 0. And then, so it'll let you keep entering coordinates forever if you want. But eventually, you'll get to this point where you're like, okay, I'm done. And if you just hit enter or spacebar, it'll just stop that line command. Okay?
Sorry, can you repeat how do you make it vertical?
So vertical would just be, it's all about the coordinates, right? So if you want to start at 0 and you want a vertical line, the first, you got to give it two sets of numbers, a horizontal and a vertical value. So horizontal would be 0 in this case, and then your next number would be however tall you want the line to be. So maybe you've got a square now. Let's go ahead and select that, and then type E for erase. I'll make that go away. E, enter. Okay, so that's lines. There's another one called rectangle. So we could draw this same thing we just did, but we could do it, much quicker with using rectangles. So type REC. You could keep typing all the way up to rectang, and that's the actual command. But REC does it. So type REC, enter, and it says specify first corner point. So where's your first corner of this rectangle going to be? So let's type 0, 0. And then where's the other corner? We could do 6.5, 6.5. You get the same thing. Right? So here we only had to type 2 coordinates as opposed to 4 before. Yeah? Yeah? Is that making sense?
So you would just need your original point and then that corner?
So 0, 0. That's your first point. Yeah, so now your next point would be 6.5, 6.5. Okay, there's another command I want to show you, which is circle. Okay, so let's draw a circle inside of our square, right? So this would be, just type C, or you can type the word circle, either way. But C, you get circle, and it says specify the center point for the circle. So what would be the center point of that square we just drew? Yeah, 3.25, 3.25, right? So type that. Okay, and now it says specify the radius of that circle. What would be the radius in this case? 3.25 again, right? So 3.25. There you go. We got a circle inside the square. Okay, now what if I wanted to draw a triangle inside of this as well? There is no triangle tool. There is a polygon tool, but I'm not going to teach that to you yet. We could do this with the line tool. So, and what I mean by triangle is something that starts at this bottom left corner, goes up to the middle point in the top, and then back down to the bottom. All right, okay? So we'll do that with line. So type line, or just L for line. First point is going to be 0, 0. Second point is going to be yeah, so 3.25 on the x would put me halfway across the square, right? And 6.5 on the y would put me at that top line. So 3.25, 6.5. Okay, and now my other point would start from that same spot and just go back down to the bottom right corner. So this would be 0, 6.5. Oh, no, I did that wrong. Hang on. Undo. Yeah, I did that backwards. 6.5 on the x, 0 on the y. You're right. There we go. And then if I really want to have this extra line to just complete the triangle, I could now type 0, 0. Right? And then enter, and I'm back. So there you go. I got a circle and a square and a triangle. Make sense? Okay, now, what if I wanted to draw another identical square right above the one I already have? Well, how did we draw the first square? With a rectangle, right? So type REC. And our first point, in this case, is going to be 0 for the x and 6.5 on the y. Okay? And then, you know, if I move my mouse around, you can see where it's going to go. So my next point would be somewhere up here. And it's going to be, what's 6.5 times 2? 13, right? So this will be 6.5 on the x and 13 on the y. Yeah? So 6.5 comma 13. You get another one. See how that works?
Yeah.
Now, what if I want to draw another square, this time to the right of my first square, but I want there to be a space between them, like a 1-unit space. So we would type REC for rectangle. And on the x, we would do, if my first square ends at 6.5 and I want my next one to begin 1 unit after that, I would start it at 7.5, right? So 7.5, comma 0. And then my next point, if I want to do an identical square, would be what's 7.5 plus 6.5? Is it 14?
14,
Yep. So 14, comma 6.5, right? See, now we got a space. We got an identical square, and there's a space in between it now.
So you put 7.5, comma 6.5.
Well, it would be, the second point would be 14, comma 6.5, right? All right, I have now taught you everything you need to know to complete the next assignment. Shall I show you? The next assignment looks like this. Or the first assignment, rather. This is the one you've got. So let's see. I'll go into what this looks like for you. If you go onto Canvas, go to Modules, and you'll now see this AutoCAD Basic Drawing Skills and the System Diagram Blocks assignment. So here is the assignment. First of all, I want you to draw, using only those 3 commands, line, rectangle, circle, all of those symbols. So that one, 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 and that one. You can draw all of those. Yes. All of those symbols. Draw those using only those 3 commands that I just taught you. Now, I will let you use 2 other commands just in case you make a mistake. Erase and undo. Okay? And you can select things with your mouse if you need to. Okay? But that's it. You got to do the whole thing using only those commands. Once you do that, then you need to, depending on who you are, you will then complete phase 2. If you are a C1 student, you will do this diagram then. Same thing, just those commands. Okay. If you are a Lance, you will do that diagram. Okay. Okay. Now, once I want you to take that, that'll be an AutoCAD file, and then it's a DWG, and then you can upload it. Once you have it, you can either draft it all in one file, or you can do a separate file for the symbols and a separate file for the diagram. I don't really care. But either way, once you have it, you click the little Submit Assignment button and upload those files, and then we will look at them in class next week. So let me take you through drawing one of these, okay? Just to kind of get your mind going here, okay? And then I'm going to let you work, okay? And I'll help you if you have questions and stuff like that, okay? So let's draw this first one, okay? Just this basic device block, because it's going to be pretty simple. Okay, let me just kind of move this out of the way. Adjust my window so I can see it. There we go. All right, so first of all, I'm going to just select all, enter, erase, enter to get rid of everything. Okay? So I'm starting over now. So the first thing I would probably want to do is draw the main rectangle of that device block, right? And you can kind of eyeball this, but I can tell you right now that that rectangle is 2.5 times wider than it is tall. Okay? I know because I measured it once. Okay? So I'll start by doing that. Rectangle starting at 0, 0. And then my other point is going to be 2.5, 1. And it's super small. This is where zoom comes in handy, right? There we go. All right. Next thing I want to do is draw that line across the top that creates that title area. So it looks like that if I were to take that line along with these other ones, that we've really kind of split this symbol up into 4 rows. So if my little rectangle is 1 unit tall, then that title line probably starts 1/4 of a unit down from top. Okay? So I'm going to start by doing a line, L for line, and it's going to start at 0, and then comma 0.75. Right? That would put it 1/4 of a unit down from the top. See that? And then the other side of it would be 2.5 on the x and 0.75 on the y, right? Is that correct? Would that put it on the other side of my little box? It does, right? And then I hit enter and it's over. Well, remember, this is all relative, right? These aren't real things. So this is not actually to scale at all. So you just draw them. I mean, you could also draw this as 10 units by 25 units if you wanted to. If that's easier for you and you don't like doing decimal places, that's fine too. I don't really care. I don't really care how physically large they are because it's all just relative, okay, at this point anyway. Okay, so now I need to just draw the little connection lines here, right? So I'll start with the left side. So I'll do a line. And I'm going to start this one at halfway down. Okay, so this one will be 0 on the x and 0.5 on the y. Yeah? Starts right there, but I want it to go off to the left, right? So I'm going to do, in this case, maybe negative 0.25 on the x and 0.5 on the y. See that? And then I'll draw one underneath of that, which would be another line. This one would start at 0x and 0.25 on the y, and would be now negative 0.25 on the x and 0.25 on the y. Enter. See that? Now we'll draw the 2 lines on the right. So I need a line for that. And this one will start at 2.5 on the x, comma 0.5 on the y. Yeah? And now I'll do, what would it be? Because I did them as 1/4 of a unit long, right? So this would be now 2.75 on the x, comma, or no, yeah, comma 0.5 on the y. There we go. And then my last line will be at 2.5 on the x, and 0.25 on the y. And then would be 2.75 on the x, comma 0.25 on the y. Enter. Done. Okay? So that's the basic process. Yes?
Can we go back and look at the coordinates that we punched in here, or is that not a thing on here? We just have to remember.
Like you don't remember where they were and you want to find out?
Yes.
There is a way. And I suppose I'll let you do that. So if you select, so like if I want to figure out what the coordinates were of my rectangle, just select the rectangle, and then you can kind of hover over that little thing, and you'll see down at the bottom left of your window where I've got 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
Or if I go up to the top right, 2.5, 1, 0. What's the third number? Why is it giving me three numbers? Z, right? Which we're not using Z, so you can ignore Z. Okay? And then you hit escape to deselect that.
You can also see that when you don't have to select it. So if you're trying to like figure out which order to put your coordinates in.
Yeah, you can just kind of hover over it with your mouse.
Over kind of where you're trying to put your line and say, oh, well, that's like around negative
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
Negative 2.5 is about it.
Yeah. Yes, you can do that. All right? So what I'm trying to do is drive home this XY coordinate system here. Okay, that's the point. Is if you're struggling with that abstraction, like you will be struggling no more by the end of this assignment. Okay, understanding how this coordinate system works in CAD, because you're not allowed to use your mouse to position any of these objects. You have to type it in coordinates. Okay, that is the point of this assignment. Because if you don't understand this coordinate system, you are not going to get along very well with CAD. Because everything in AutoCAD is X, Y, Z coordinates. So if you can figure this out and do it with the command line, you will be well on your way to being a CAD wizard. All right? Yes?
One more.
Yes. You're okay.
Is there a reason we use like, instead of just like whole units like 1, 2, 3, 4, like we're using like 2.5? Do you know what I'm saying?
I just did it that way. You can do it however you want.
Okay.
If you like really don't want to ever do, a floating point number, then yeah, just draw it. Like I say, you can draw that rectangle as a 10 by 25 unit rectangle, and then
Just so long as the ratio is the same.
yeah, the ratio just needs to be the same.
Yeah, like all the boxes should be the same size.
Yeah, yeah. So I am looking for you to, as close as possible. Like there's not a whole lot of room for artistic expression here. I'm looking for you to almost completely, down to every detail, recreate exactly what I've drawn here. Even the spacing would be nice if you could figure that out. I'm not going to give you too hard a time about that, but as long as the symbols look correct, that's the thing I'm looking for. Proportionally and all that kind of stuff. It's like if your amps are, way taller than mine are, relatively speaking, then that's going to be a problem. So I'm looking for you to be able to look this, because this is like a critical skill for CAD, is look at a drawing, look at something, and figure out how to draw that using lines and rectangles and circles. Because like everything, everything in CAD is either a line, a rectangle, or a circle. Yes?
Is there any way we can like group this and move it from?
I have not taught you that command yet, so that is not one of the options. Yes, it is possible to do that, but that is not one of the options. If you put something in the wrong place, you can do undo, or you can select it and erase it and draw it again. But no moving. So plan a little bit, right? You might sketch this out on a little piece of paper or something and figure out, okay, I'm going to put this up here and this over here and this in here. You can set up your own little coordinate system for your drawing, so you're putting things in the right spot as you're drawing them. So it is about almost 10:30, so you have 2 hours to work on this right now. You might even get it done. So I'll be here, and I can answer questions, and I can help you when you get stuck, but this is it. Time to CAD.